All right, Patrick from Art Storefronts here, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We are starting in on a series of customer interviews, real artists that are out there trying to grow an art business. And I have an Art Storefronts customer and a dear friend at this point, Hava,
Hi.
to talk about her journey as an artist, what's working, what's not working, the origin story, the background. Maybe we'll get into some marketing, tradecraft, and just see where it goes. So, Hava, really, really pleased to have you here and for letting me use your beautiful art as the background. And why don't we start at the very top and give us kind of like just a little bit of an origin story, how you became to be an artist?
Um, oh, I've always been interested in art, but when I was younger, my parents pushed me towards math and science and all
Mhm.
that. So I didn't really have a chance to take it seriously until towards the end of my undergrad career,
Mhm.
and started in photography. Um, Tried to get into like commercial photography, fashion photography, journalism, a few things here and there, and then decided to go back to grad school because that wasn't working.
Mhm.
And while I was in grad school, I switched to painting, and I've been painting ever since. Um, I never really stopped painting since grad school, but it's been more of a sort of like a professional hobby, so to speak, until quite recently. So
Awesome. And when you say quite recent, well, first of all, how long were you trying to sell your art and doing your thing before you joined Art Storefronts?
I honestly wasn't really even trying to
Mhm.
sell my art.
Mhm.
Um, I've had experience working in art galleries in Chicago and in Manhattan,
Mhm.
and I know quite well what how hard it is and how disheartening it is.
Yeah.
So I knew that I didn't want to put myself through that.
Mhm.
And selling online, I had no clue how to even begin doing that. So I really wasn't. I had a few like local shows and maybe sold a couple of things locally, but that's
Mhm.
about it. Um, until I found art storefronts, I wanted to, but I just had no idea how even to start.
And how long ago did you join? How many years have you been on the platform?
I joined in September of 2021,
Wow.
just before Q4 started.
Yeah. Look at how quickly the time flies. That's
I know.
that's yeah, that's amazing. It just goes so quickly.
Yeah.
Um and what attracted you to us originally, just out of curiosity?
So I think I was primed for something like this because during the pandemic, my day job kind of came to a halt,
Mhm.
and I spent all day, every day for months just making art
Mhm.
and just daydreaming about like how can I turn this into like a real thing finally? Like I really this is what I want to do.
Mhm.
I've looked at marketplaces like Society 6 and Redbubble, and that's not what I wanted to do. But I was searching but didn't know what. And then I came across a Facebook ad for Art Storefronts, and I just clicked to see what it was and clicked to get a demo, and um, had a talk with my mom because there was a bit of a financial investment up front. So
Yeah.
and she was like, are you sure? And I said, no, this is like the universe just brought this to me at the exact perfect time. So yeah, it didn't take me long to make a decision.
I love
So
hearing that. I love hearing that. And talk to me about your first year, right? Because you've got a couple of years in here.
yeah.
I'd be really curious to hear one, your expectations of your first year, and maybe even before that, like how technology proficient were you when you joined, and what that whole, because obviously we make you learn a bunch of new things and do a bunch of things that you've never done before. So I
Yeah.
think people would love to hear that.
Well, I'm fairly technology proficient.
Mhm.
I built some websites back in the day when they were easy to build,
Mhm.
um, and I had an active Facebook and a semi-active Instagram where I was just posting, occasionally posting something that I was working on.
Mhm.
So I had all the tools. I just didn't know how to use them. And I think the first that first Q4, like there was so much information that was coming in really fast and a little overwhelming, but also at the same time, it was just like a complete paradigm shift. Like I just realized that I've never really understood how to think about having a business, you know, especially online, but like having your own business, what it means to market yourself. I remember watching like one of your presentations about merch, like why it's important to have merch,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding like why I should be doing a giveaway, you know, because
Yeah.
first I was like, why am I going to give something away? And less than a month in, like just, I think I may have still been doing the giveaway. One of my friends from grad school, so like from over 25 years ago, contacted me and asked if he can commission a painting for his wife as a Christmas present.
Okay.
He has known I'm an artist for 25 years. He has been followed, like he's seen my art.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else has changed except for the fact that suddenly he realized that he can actually buy art from me. And it sounds simple, but it's not, because I've seen that over and over. I've sold art to friends I had from high school. So,
Yeah. Wow.
you know, my biggest customers are still people that I have known for a long time, and I have never been shy about the fact that I make art. So it's this subtle but really important switch in how I present myself. And I learned all that like very quickly, but you know, it was I was kind of like a sponge, you know, like I was really just absorbing all this information. And I don't think I missed any Zoom calls. I just was there writing things down and just kind of going into overdrive. And I had pretty decent results for that first quarter. Like this is, you know, in those first 3 months, I made sales, and a couple of them were to people I don't know who just saw my work. And that was just, that was an amazing feeling. Like that was an amazing feeling because they didn't need to like butter me up. They didn't need to tell me like, oh, we love your art. Like they don't know me. They don't, you know,
Yeah.
they actually did. And that was amazing.
Yeah. I love hearing that. And of course, we should mention when she says Q4 just means the last 3 months of the year, but it's traditionally when more art is sold than at any other time throughout the year. You have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the run up to Christmas and everything else. Yeah, I love hearing that. And I feel like you really did take to the Zoom sessions and find that really, really valuable. And I'm always so like blown away by the Zoom sessions, right? Because you know, we'll have 200 or 300 or 400, whatever the number is, and the majority don't ask questions. The majority just listen, but stay there the whole time because there's so much that you can learn. Did you find that leveled you up significantly, just hearing what other people's struggles were? You know,
yes.
it did.
Yeah, very much so. And the first couple of Zooms that I watched actually were for people who were not signed up yet, that you were leading. So, but you were talking a lot about, you know, Q4 is coming and the importance and all that. And just, it kind of blew my mind. Like, it's just like, you know, that it is possible if you have the right tools.
Yeah. And if you treat it like a business, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
you have to treat it like a business.
Which is hard for artists.
It's hard for everybody, you know. You have to learn to be like so many things out of your comfort zone. So you started off at the best time of the year, which is Q4. How would you describe your experiences like all the way through year one? And I love so much that you got those wins in Q4 because, you know, what I always say is that, you know, even if they're not the biggest financial numbers, those sales fill up like our emotional reservoirs, you know, and that's the gas to keep us motivated and keep learning and keep doing this marketing stuff and keep trying to grow the business. Right. So as year one wrapped, you know, what was kind of your thought process and where the business was, what was happening? Were you super motivated, fired up, still learning? You know, what was that like?
All of the above, but I would say I suddenly, like, I just have like had a million ideas about like things I could try and do. I was seeing the success from Q4, like that early success, was incredibly empowering, because it showed me finally that yes, there is a market for my art, beyond like my mom, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I, I, I participated in that beta test of the niche course with Brandon, and that was a real eye opener as well. And I worked really hard. I think like I may have like overdone it that first year because I was trying to do everything, and I was just, you know, living and breathing and sleeping the business, just trying to like figure out the best way to do that, and just listening to everything, trying to like read up all the different handbooks, not handbooks, what do you call them? Yeah.
Playbooks, yeah.
The playbooks, yeah. You know, following the calendar, like making sure I'm doing everything. You know, the posting to social media part, I remember being like really, really apprehensive about going live for the first time, or even not live, even just recording myself saying, hey, I'm having a giveaway, or hey, I'm having a sale, or hey, look at this stuff. So the first ones were like, you know, I'm just like all fidgety and like nervous, and
for sure.
But it got easier. And the easier it got, the more I did them, and the more I saw like how valuable they are. So you know, that aspect of it, which is I guess the biggest chunk of marketing, is the social media presence. I leaned pretty heavily into, and I remember back in April of 2 years ago in April, there you gave a Zoom session about reels, and you said you got to start doing reels because Instagram is like actively trying to compete with TikTok, and they're gonna, you know, just do reels every day. And I just started doing that, reels every day, and I got really lucky with a couple of them, and suddenly my Instagram account started growing, and it was kind of like a snowball effect. Like, you know, because sometimes like just seeing all that happening, like seeing some success, like it's that fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's just, you know, like I look at my early presence on social media and my presence now, and if I take a couple of steps back and I'm like, oh, who is this artist who's so successful? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and we should say, I can pull it up. I mean, you're up to 25,000 followers on here.
Yeah.
Beautiful bio. You even have a broadcast channel going on, because we haven't
Yeah.
even taught about that. So good on you.
Thank you.
You're all over this profile. I mean, you can't make it 3 or 4 images without seeing your beautiful face, which, you know, I bang the drum on incessantly about,
Yes.
you know,
And
making sure that
that was
you're in there. Yeah.
that was the revelation that first time when you said, like, you know, you can't just have static images, image, because you know, that's, people are scrolling and just looking at images. They don't like make that connection that it's an actual piece of art. And it sounds so simple now, but it's not. And so the first time I posted just a photo of myself holding a piece of art, it just got so much attention immediately.
Yeah.
You know, and suddenly people were engaging with my art. And as artists, it's hard being our own salesperson. It's hard being like, it's hard.
You have to wear all the hats. You're the salesperson, you're the creator, you're the marketing, you're the tax person, you know, customer service.
And you have to be committed, and you have to be 100% in it. But at the same time, you have to have a little bit of distance, so you don't like, you know, you don't take it personally when somebody's just not their thing. You know? That's a really hard one for artists, I think.
You have to be thick-skinned for sure. You know, one thing you did mention, and I would be curious to hear, like, we always get these questions about niche. Do I need to have the niche? I need to have a defined niche. I need to figure out what my niche is, right? And I believe the answer to that question is it depends. It's not binary. It's not one works for everyone. They have a niche or you don't. But At what point in time, you mentioned that you went through the niche course that we have. At what point in time in the journey did you pivot from what you had been doing to the beta fish, which was like kind of your first like big home run?
Yes.
Right? I'd love to hear that story.
Actually, I just started getting interested in the beta fish and made like the first couple of drawings
Mhm,
right before the niche course started. And it
mhm,
was, I think it was sometime in February, and there was something on the calendar, I remember, that said pivot. And I remember like being in one of the office hours and someone was talking about a pivot, and I
mhm.
didn't understand what are they talking about? Like, why pivot? Like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean? Um, and then when the niche course started, it just occurred to me like, wait a minute, this beta fish thing is a niche. Like, I have that. Let's see where I can go with it. And I think that the reason that it did go as far as it did and continues is because I understood that it is a niche, and sort of treated it that way. So it's treated it that way, meaning for me, meaning that I always keep my audience in mind, um, of who it is that likes that kind of art, like who
Mhm.
are my
Sorry, someone was calling me on Slack. I'm trying to show off some of the beta fish.
oh yes. That was my Sasha. He's the one who started it all.
Yeah, the Matryoshka doll version of the beta fish
Yes.
there.
that was that
I know you're
was
Russian. I had to throw and flex my Russian knowledge because
right.
I know what a Matryoshka doll
Well,
is, which is the little dolls inside of the dolls. Um,
that's
so
actually another one of my niches, but I haven't had a chance to really explore how that works.
mhm,
Um, I leaned heavily into that. My other, my other art, which is like my botanical and kind of more abstract art, has
mhm,
been harder to pinpoint a niche.
mhm.
Um, it's Yeah, it's been harder to pinpoint a niche because it's just like it's either too general, like who doesn't like flowers, um, and when it's too general, it's competing with way too many things. But so I guess that's the thing that you're saying, that it's not a binary. I'm doing pretty well with
Mhm.
my other art, and I would say that the market for that, or like the audience for that, is very diverse. And in fact, a lot of my beta fish customers started, they've bought my other, like, prints of my other art. Um,
I have to just pick into that because it's a trend that I've witnessed with our customers year after year after year, and in many cases where it manifests itself, which is so wild, is you were trying to sell a certain style.
yeah,
You weren't really getting very much traction on it, but you have that art and it's in the catalog. Then you moved into something else and you started generating the sales with something else. And then all of a sudden, those folks come back and they're buying the older catalog. And what I've learned at a tyrant scenario is this notion of the 50-50. An art sale is 50% you, your personality, who's Hava, what makes her tick, right? And then the other 50% is the art. And
yeah,
I continue to hear that trending style, and it's just it speaks to how important having different subject matter materials are, and then it also speaks to showing who you are, how important that is. I mean, it's
yeah.
unbelievable. Did you? So you're coming up on your fourth year, right? Or
Third
soon?
year.
Yeah, third year. Has it gotten easier every single solitary year after year?
Yes. Oh
You feel like it
yeah.
has?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, especially because now I have Copilot, which does a lot of the
Yeah,
heavy lifting for me.
yeah.
And it frees me up. But yeah, it definitely does, because I have the language, sort of like I have the terminology
Mhm,
in a way that it's not just like textbook. Like, it's not like just a definition of what a niche is. Like,
mhm,
I can pick it apart and say like what it means to me, like what I think about. I think about finding the audience. Like, if it's, finding the audience that is going to respond to that particular artwork. And so when I start something new, or whenever I'm doing something, and I'm constantly doing little projects along the way, like, for a while I was doing like left hand drawings and
mhm,
little ink drawings, and whatever I'm doing, I'm always paying attention to who is responding to
mhm,
it when I post about it, and what they're saying. And in my head, like sort of like trying to make connections, like where can I take it from there? What kind of niche, like, is this a new niche, or does this fit back into my, like my larger body of work? And so it's become very second nature to me to sort of think about my art in that way. Like how can I take this further? How can I, take an image like that, something that I know people like, but they're only buying, mugs and tote bags. Like, what can I do so that I can make more money from it? So, is it like making smaller paintings that are more affordable? Is it painting it on like a luxury item so that, I can charge more for it? The ideas keep coming, but the reason like some of them get swatted away and some of them I keep is because I have a pretty strong filter now of what could work, or if like what I can, visualize, or sort of like have an idea of like how can I try to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the social media, like posting, I've not missed a day of reels in 2 years.
Wow. You're grinding.
So,
That's amazing.
Sometimes it's almost midnight. I'm like, oh man, I need to post something. I just do. Like I have not missed one day of posting reels.
Your consistency is just absolutely crazy. And I mean, look, you have 25,000 followers on Instagram as a result of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a very, very high count. I mean, Art Storefronts is at 70,000 and you're already at 25,000.
Yeah.
You're going to surpass us if you keep on this clip, which is awesome.
Well, and I have to say, like, so people ask, like, what does that mean? Does it translate into a lot of sales? And it's not like a yes or no answer. Like I have sold one. I have sold one original painting to someone who saw a reel and contacted me. And after I verified that it wasn't a scam, I sold an original painting. And I know that a lot of the people who found me on Instagram are now subscribers and they've bought gifts during the holidays. But there's something else, like having that consistent and presence on Instagram that has like it's been validated, because you have a following that kind of has gotten me other things. Like most recently, I was contacted by House and Garden magazine, which is sort of like the gold standard of interior decorating, and they do this campaign called the Art Edit, where they scout for artists. It's curated and it's by invitation. I did have to pay for it. It's like an advertorial.
Yeah.
But and I thought about it for a minute. I asked Brandon, and he's like, "Yeah, I think you should do it."
Yeah.
And the first issue came out, and the day that I got the PDFs from them of the page where I'm at, and I posted them to my Facebook page, and I posted to my personal Facebook, I posted to my business Facebook. I have never gotten that much engagement on my business Facebook.
Amazing.
It was crazy. I didn't even know these people paid attention. And the thing is, that was a week ago, and the engagement is still fairly high because of that, because it was kind of reveriberates. But
did you post it to Instagram too?
I did. I posted it as a reel to Instagram and as a story.
Is it in here? Can we see it?
Yeah.
How far back? Oh, there it is. Boom.
But on Instagram, it's because I don't have the physical magazine yet. So when I have the physical magazine, I'm really gonna do reels about it.
Oh, you have to. And you know why we're here, and I give you a little tradecraft. Like, I want to see a press section at the top in your story highlights.
Oh, okay.
So once you get all the rest of the assets, or I wouldn't even wait. I would do it after today's. I would like get these are already formatted in story format, and just get all of this up and create a press section and call it press, because this is massive street credit.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that at the end of that first day, a friend of mine from college contacted me and commissioned an original painting for their home.
Did that
And
cover the
it
entire
covered
investment?
like 2 months worth.
Nice. Okay, nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
it did. And I mean, we've been friends forever. It's not,
Mhm.
I don't think it's an accident that it
Yeah.
happened that day. So so I've made, like, it's been a success already, and it's not directly from Instagram, but it is, because I
But
wouldn't
it
have
is,
any
'cause
of it
that's
if it wasn't.
how they found you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone always, everyone's always like, I want to get into interior designers. I want to reach art publishers, or I want to find the collectors or whatever, or I want to get into a gallery. And they're always like, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? And it breaks my heart to give the honest answer, but the honest answer is exactly what you just said. You don't find them. You don't
Yeah.
get into them. They find you.
Yeah.
They find you from doing exactly what you're doing, which is making a ton
Exactly.
of noise. I want to,
Yeah.
I want to ask two pointy questions. One, I would be very curious. What is your advice for Art Storefronts freshmen? They just got started on their first year. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, even if you like framing it that way, what would be your year one advice?
I would say pace yourself,
Hmm.
manage your expectations.
Hmm.
I think it's important to be inspired by seeing other people's success, but
Hmm.
definitely don't try to compare yourself. Don't get down on yourself if it's a slow start.
Hmm.
It's, I think it's the advice that you guys give, that it's a marathon. Like, just see small changes, like look from month to month, from 6 months to 6 months, like what's changing, what's growing. And don't obsess over the website, like the aesthetics of the website. It's going to
Yeah.
change a million times.
Yeah.
If it's functional, like focus on that. Don't, like, I guess, don't obsess on too many details, like focus on the larger picture. I think the other thing is, like, you might have something really amazing that happened really early on. Like, I
Hmm.
had like a really huge commission last winter.
Hmm.
Like, it was, like something
Yeah.
extraordinary. And for a couple of weeks I was walking around with my head up in the sky, thinking like, oh, I've made it, like,
Yeah.
just, but it was a fluke. That was the outlier. And looking back, I'm glad it happened, obviously,
Of course.
but I'm also glad that things really slowed down after that and started to build up slowly again, because you don't want to build a castle on without a foundation.
That's right.
So just focus on just a foundation. The other thing I would say is, just is, as uncomfortable as it is, post to social media, put yourself out there. Don't try to be something you're not. Just try to be the best version of yourself. Um, so, which, I don't know, sounds like a Yoda thing, but
No, I love every bit of it. I especially
yeah,
love the, don't compare yourself to others. Like,
yeah,
everyone has the tendency to do that. And there's so many different variables, and there's so many
yeah,
different ways. The only thing you can control is your output, and
yeah.
continuing to work and continuing to grow the entire business. Um, one other question I wanted to ask, and thank you for that. That was great. One other question I wanted to ask is, do you know the number of new customers that you've acquired, like in a year, and how much has that changed with you sort of opening up your lineup? I mean, you have your originals, you have merch, you have the
Mhm,
Matryoshka dolls, right? Like,
mhm.
you've got a pretty diverse lineup and pretty
Yeah.
diverse price points. And for those that want to see, we'll include links to our website in the show notes, so you can check out, or wherever you see the post. But how has that helped your new customer acquisition? Is that or have those numbers grown year after year after year?
Yes, they have. Um, my number of customers is still in the double digits. So
Mhm.
but I know for a fact that I, like, last after Christmas, or
Mhm.
I sat down to write these little thank you for supporting my business little postcards that I printed,
I love
and
that you're
send
doing
them
that.
to
Awesome.
everybody
Yeah.
everybody who made a purchase, like however small and
Mhm.
however big. And I made this long list, and I needed to go and get stamps, and
Yeah.
I had to get 65 stamps.
Amazing.
So I had 65 um, individual customers,
Yeah.
and some of them, like, I'd say a third of them made more than one purchased that year. And some of them have been making purchases like quite regularly.
Yeah.
So small purchases, but still.
But you've got collectors in there. That is the
Yeah.
collector phenomenon, and that is like
Yes.
totally how it goes.
Yeah. And it's grown since the year before.
I'm obsessed with that metric personally, right? And for all of you guys at Art Storefronts, because I know the collector phenomenon is real. I know that, you know, upstream or downstream from that, upstream, I guess I would say, is that the easiest customer to get is actually the one that you already have. It's far easier to get someone to come back and purchase again than it is to get a new one. And, you know, why we push this lineup notion so hard is if you didn't have the diverse lineup that you did, you probably would have been a normal artist. And instead of 65 thank you cards at the end of the year, you would have been sending out 6 or 7 or 10, you know, and simple mathematics come to play in an art business. They come to play. Now, when you have a sale sometime this year, you're going to be emailing those 65, not 6 or 7. You know, and it's like, what do you think is going to happen? Conversion rates are going to be what conversion rates are, and you're going to have that many more people seeing it. And that's how the business is built. Like, I want you being at the end of the year this year getting 300 stamps.
Yes,
right? Yeah, and then it's like that's the slog of what it looks like in real life. But I think also, you know, you've had a full-time day job, and that's about to change. That's mega exciting. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, it's in the works. I'm sort of slowly transitioning to focusing entirely on my business. I've been planning for this. Just as a disclaimer, and you know, my art business is not in a position to like pay all my bills yet, but it has been. I've been in the black since like, you know, middle of 2020. So I've been, I made up my investment like very early on. And so, you know, like I like to say, like, even if I just sat back and twiddled my thumbs, I'm not going to lose money. Occasionally I'll sell something. So everything, you know, and that's not me, but everything that I do is an asset. And you know, and then I reinvest back into the business in ways like, you know, like doing the ads for House and Garden, or paying for services like Copilot and the descriptions and, you know, so on. So I'm building a business that is not losing money. It's making a small profit every year. The profit keeps going up. And it's, you know, and I'm kind of in a position where I can take a couple of years to focus entirely on the business. And I'm, you know, 200% certain that it will, you know, it will get there, that I probably won't even need those 2 years. Like
years 4 and years 5 are when things really start humming. So you gotta get through this year and Q4, right? And that'll be 3 in the books.
Yeah.
And
it's been a good year already. I mean, like, you know, I think my profits, and, you know, I only look at the profits. I don't try to calculate like what my profit margin per sale is, because that's, you know, it's just the profit is the company makes the profit, not me personally. And the company. So if I look at the profits from the company for the past like January, February, March, 3 months, is more than maybe not more than I did in all of 2022, but it's close.
It's close. That's amazing.
You know, it's growing. And can I just say, one of the things that I really love to sort of like deconstruct backwards, and I do that because when I heard you talk about how important it is to merchandise, it blew my mind, because I just, you know, I've always, you know, I've had my mugs and my everything for a very long time, but it's always been like through like Redbubble or whatever. And it was just, my mom would buy things to give us gifts, and I would buy things to give as gifts, but it wasn't a business. And there was no like point in trying to make it into a business. Because and the way I always thought about it is like, it's like $1 per item that I sell. Like, why am I putting so much effort into it? But when it became my business, and the items are being bought on my website, and each item is a new subscriber and a new client.
That's right.
And so this thing happened, and I know it happened more than once. I know people who bought like mugs to give as gifts for Christmas or calendars, and then the person who got it came back and bought something as well.
Yeah.
And the biggest one was in the summer of 22, I had an exhibition at the Botanical Gardens here in town.
Okay.
And
where do you live, by the way?
I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Ann Arbor, Michigan. Okay, awesome.
So I spent weeks trying to get in touch with the manager of their gift shop, playing, like I would drive up there and it's like, is he here? Is he here? And I finally got to see him. And I brought with me some mugs. I brought with me some totes and some magnets and some cards because I wanted to show him in person.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I'm going to get, and he bought some. Like I just had a very small markup because they were going to sell them, but it wasn't consignment. Like he bought them from me to sell in their gift shop.
Yeah, awesome.
And they did really well. And later, like towards the end of the show, this woman came in and she bought an original, but we were in the space together. I brought with me some samples of metal prints and some samples of acrylic prints because she wasn't sure what she wanted, if she wanted an original or like a fancy print and all that. She actually bought like one of my metal samples. She just bought it from me. She's like, can I just buy this one?
Amazing.
But she told me that the reason she came to see my show is because someone she knows saw the show, bought some cards from the gift shop, and she got one of those cards as a birthday card.
Wow.
And she was like, oh, who is this artist? And her friend's like, oh, she's having a show at the Botanical Gardens. And she came to see the show and bought a painting, all from a postcard, not postcard, greeting card, like that I made no money on originally. So it's
just ads. Their merch is just ads.
It's just like ads.
When you realize that, like, and the reason I rant so hard about this is because my entire career as a digital marketer, I've had to spend money on ads, and I spend these money on ads, and I really can only get your attention when you're on this thing or you're on your computer on a certain app or maybe doing a Google search, but that's it. I can't get to all those places, and an artist can't get to those places either. So when you have these merch, it will go places that no advertisement, no social post can ever go, and it's hard. There's no one way that works for everyone, right? Like I firmly believe that there needs to be in an artist lineup something that is non-wall art related. I don't care what it is because some people push back on merch, some people love merch, whatever. But your story is the perfect highlight of that. Yeah, that sale wouldn't have happened. And guess what? It gets better because now there's an expensive original in someone's house, and now they're going to have a dinner party, and now someone's going to be like, wow, that thing really matches their sofa. Where did you get it? And then you get another one, and a lot of times they don't tell you, right? You have to ask, like, hey, where did you, how did you find me? But sometimes they won't tell you, and you realize that like traditional advertising is not really doesn't really work for artists and photographers in my experience. Meaning,
no, it doesn't.
Huge Facebook campaigns, huge Instagram campaigns, Google campaigns. I've never seen any artist in my whole
I wasted money on that too.
Oh yeah. I've never seen. Well, this is like the line I always give is that I've never seen an artist that started it keep going. Like I see people do it all the time, and then a month goes by, and I'm like, "Where? I haven't seen any of those ads." And it's clear, and it doesn't matter what size artist they are, dead artists, alive artists, estates. It just doesn't work. That's not how it does it. And what most people do is they're like, "Okay, well then advertising doesn't work." No, advertising works. Look at your home and garden. Look at merch. Those are just ads. Any business has to advertise. Even like the most famous story of the business that never advertised was Tesla, and even now they're advertising. So it's like, we gotta advertise.
Yeah.
We gotta advertise. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my beta fish person, she's also like a merchant. So she also like shares her products. She sells like stickers and stuff in the group. So sure.
Yeah, and she's showing some of it off.
And she early on, she won one of my tote bags as a prize in the group, and it's like her favorite tote bag. And she just messaged me a couple of days ago. She was at a craft show or something, and she had that bag, and she got approached by like 3 people asking about the bag.
Yeah.
So it got her, it was great for her because then she could tell them what she does. But then she's like, we're doing a craft show next month. Do you want to send me some bags? I'll put them in my booth.
Boom.
And
Yeah. And you
So
never know
you
which
never
one of
know.
those things is going to end up being a hit, but all of that is
Mhm.
happening as a result of you having this in your marketing arsenal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, I find that so many artists get like frustrated and sit on the sidelines and then don't end up doing anything. And you realize it's like the luck, it's not dumb luck, right?
No, it's not.
It's not like dumb Vegas luck. It's like it's luck that happens as a result of you creating this outward energy. And then weird things come in, and that's always how it
Yeah.
works, right? About always putting
Absolutely.
that out there. Amazing. Like,
Yeah.
phenomenal story.
And you have to, I mean, I guess the thing is like, regardless of whether it's a $25 item or a $25,000 item, you as the artist should treat it equally when you're showcasing it. I think, like, and just give it that same, like, level of respect, and like, look at this tote bag. It's my tote bag, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you're excited about it, it shows. Like, if you are not, it shows. If you think it's just like a cheap thing, like, oh yeah, like, it's whatever. Or if you're like, look, isn't this better than anything else you can have your coffee in? Like
Yeah.
that, that first year, that's actually something I now I'm remembering. It may have been like during the first few months, when I first got my first batch of mugs myself.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was getting my first batch of tote bags as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, like, one day I posted just a photo of myself with a mug saying, like, coffee tastes better with this mug. And 5 friends bought that mug that day.
Yeah.
And then, I got some new tote bags, and I'm like, look at the new tote bags I just got. 2 friends bought that tote bag. And then whenever they would send me pictures of them with their stuff and I would post it, someone else would buy something. It was happening so much that it was definitely a pattern. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as often now, because most of the people that I know already have something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You got to keep expanding things out from there.
yeah.
So many great takeaways, and I love that you're bought in and working as hard as you can, because it's hard to say it takes 3 to 5 years, right? But
Yeah.
it really does take like 3 to 5 years of grinding to have a serious business, and pretty
Mhm.
much just any business is that way.
Yeah.
It's like the famous quote that Steve Jobs says, and yet so many people hit those quitting points where things are low and things are not going the way they should, and the sales aren't happening. You feel like you're doing the marketing, and you kind of just you're in that state, and then you stop, and then some period of time goes by, and then the desire comes back, and then you're like, okay, I'm at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
I love that you're there.
it's kind of like playing the slot machines in a way. And I'm not a gambler, but like, my
Yeah.
understanding of it is like, you put coins and you hit the lever and you hit the lever. And there's a point where you're just like, if you walk away, you didn't win anything, and you walk away, and the next person who put a quarter, like, won everything. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just like, you have to keep doing it. If you commit to it, you have to keep doing it, because you don't know if it's that one day that you didn't, because you just gave up,
Yeah.
was the day when a potential client actually was paying attention. And you just don't know when that kind of serendipity happens. So you just want to have it there all the time.
So true.
Yeah.
Let me ask a random question. What is one thing and one thing only we can do to seriously improve Art Storefronts?
Oh. Taylor asked me that last week as well. And I'm at a loss, because I honestly don't have any criticism. Like, it keeps getting better. One thing I think that, but it's a peripheral thing.
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot out of the Facebook group. It's amazing. Like, being like post grad school, like, not having, like, you get used to having other peers around you and talking about your process or talking about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this case, especially since we're all artists and a little squeamish about being salesy, and like, does this sound too much, whatever. And it really, really helps to know you're not alone, like that you're all doing this at the same time and all that. So that peer group is really, really valuable. But it's it kind of like what happens is most of those who have been there for a little while, have been with Art Storefronts for a little while, are no longer there. And it's always like a new group of people. And so the conversations are always about like new things. And so there used to be a channel. I keep saying that. There used to be office hours with Omer when we had a chance to sort of like talk about like my new crazy idea. What do you think I should do with this? Or, you know, like in the first couple of years, I say definitely don't obsess over the small details. Like don't obsess about like, you know, how big your logo is or whatever, like things like that. That's not what anyone's going to see. But in, you know, at this point where other things are running smoothly, this is when I want to sort of like fine tune things and refine things. And I feel like there's that support group for that isn't quite there anymore, or isn't there. So that's, I don't know how you go about doing that. I had a Zoom call on Sunday with some people who wanted me to show them how I did my gift shop. It kind of like snowballed from like one person asking, and then a bunch of other people like wanted to be on the call, and the call ended up being like 3 hours, and most of those were just talking. I forgot to record it, or I thought I was recording, but the thing is, you know, some of it was just me showing them something that I know how to do and they don't. But the other part of it was just comparing stories and comparing strategies and just kind of, you know, like having a conversation about like the artsy part of it, not the marketing part of it. So if, you know, it would be wonderful if there was like a better space for those of us who
want to have those kind of like artsy chats.
Yeah. But that's, you know, like at the grander scheme of things, I mean, like that's like on, like that would be like my wish list. Like that would be, if there was that, then I really wouldn't have anything to say.
We might need you to start this thing, actually.
I will. I would be more than happy to start it. It's, you know, because I get so much out of it myself. I've been, you know, working from home since 2009. So I'm always on my own, and I'm okay with that.
It's so important to have the community. It's so important to have the community.
Yeah. And I love, you know, the sharing. It's like, I'm just one of those people. If I figure something out, like I want to show it to everyone else.
For sure.
Like that kind of Russian efficiency kicks in.
I love it. The Russian efficiency. Well, I'll talk to the team, and you're going to hear back on that in short order, because you know, we're growing and maturing to the point where, like, you know, the customer account is really getting out of control. And I think, like, you know,
I know you're stretched thin.
Part of what you had a couple of years ago, it's not even necessarily stretched thin, because we have a lot of employees, but it's like you had a product that was working when you had 8,000 customers. It's not working when we have 14,000, right? Or not working as well. And that product needs to like evolve. And I think, you know, what we're realizing is like, we can't be the ones to lead it. We need our customers to lead it. And I think it'll be way more valuable. And, you know, we can figure out terms and everything else. So I would
be, where do I sign up? I would be honored.
You already have. You signed up. Taylor will be contacting you immediately. Well, Hava, awesome. So I think.
Can I ask you
some? Oh yeah, please.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe Taylor mentioned it as well. After Taylor gave that talk about having like a must-have item. Which is, to me, is one of those things that I would say, like, once you have everything else figured out, like this is where you can refine, this is where you can sort of, and one of them. So I started painting on like high-end bags.
Nice.
And I did one, and like,
what is it? What is the bag cost to begin with?
Well, it's a Coach bag. This one, like when it was new, it probably retailed for like $500.
Okay.
So the ones that I have, like my mom like gave me like 3 white Coach bags
Nice.
to decorate.
Yeah.
And and for me, she's like she's a barometer of sorts. Like if
Mhm.
she's excited about something, then I know there's something there,
Mhm.
because she is in some ways, like, she doesn't love everything I do. A lot of it is a little too bright, too colorful, and too busy for her.
Mhm.
But the stuff of mine that she likes, she really likes. And I think she represents a demographic.
100%.
So when she responded it strong enough that she wanted to go with me to like TJ Maxx and Marshalls and see if we can find some more white bags.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Then,
love it. And
yeah,
there's like this whole trend about like upcycling, right?
exactly.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
brings with it its own diehard customer base
Yeah.
that, like, it's like that Patagonia vibe, right? Like,
Yeah.
send your clothes back, we'll fix them. Like, we'll
Yeah.
constantly tune things up. So I love that aspect of it. I think there's probably pretty good profit margin in those, right?
Mhm.
And there's great scarcity because you can't do hundreds of those, right?
No. Yeah.
So I like it. I love it. And it's not wall art related. I'm on
Mhm.
board. I'm on
Which
board.
is like, I think, like, just in terms of the logistics,
Mhm.
I don't have thousands of dollars to invest in like expensive bags to just paint on them.
Yeah.
But the thought of having someone send me their precious bag and
Exactly.
is kind of
Oh,
scary too. So I'm
yeah.
still sort of like, how do I, beyond like the first couple of things
I
that
want
I've
you to
done.
do a live broadcast today where you hold up
Okay.
and you talk about the bag and you say, I need 5 guinea pigs because
Oh,
I think this is going to be a new direction. I'm asking 5 of you ladies to come up with a bag that's in your closet that you used to love, that's probably had too many wears, and you're ready for me to tune it up and make it new again and see what kind of bites you get. And I would do it today. I would literally do it the minute you get off
that's
this.
a really great idea.
Yeah.
Because I did that to one of, like, I just grabbed a cheap tote and I just
Yeah.
started painting on it like 20 minutes. It took me that long just because it was needed to dry.
Yeah. Of
And I
course.
posted like, here's something new I'm like trying, and a friend's like, I want it.
Yeah.
She bought it. She already
Boom.
bought it. I'm not even finished with it.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, like,
I mean,
send me your bag.
you could probably charge $200 or $300 a bag too.
That's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, so send me your bag. For
Yeah.
the first 5 who send me their bag, they get a free art on their bag.
I wouldn't do free. I
Not
would
free.
do some sort of reduced price.
Okay.
But see, what I want you to test is, okay, I understand acquiring the bags at garage sales and thrift shops and, or potentially buying them new. There's a big upfront cost in all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there is your time of having to go and track those things down.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to invest that time just yet. I would rather have the bags come to me and let me
Yeah.
get another stage of validation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And have the 5 bags and show off all 5 bags and be able to do some merchandising and then say, I'm thinking about making this a thing. Who else would be interested? And then get the wait list going. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can decide at what point, do you want to take it to the next level?
Okay.
It's a great question.
Okay.
But I like it. I like it. And you could put some of those things in the shop for,
I did. I have
know,
one.
yeah, I know
I
ladies'
have one.
handbags are not inexpensive. So
Yeah, I have it priced such that if it actually sells, I can go out and buy like 4 more bags to
boom.
decorate.
Yeah. But I would experiment with that. Does it make more sense for you to go and get the bags, or
Yeah.
does it make more sense to,
Yeah.
because you could also make an argument that, like, try and find these bags on the cheap, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, okay, God love her, crushes Poshmark so hard, okay? Like, all of my children's stuff, okay? They don't always get the color they want, okay? But tough love, right? Like, buys
Yeah.
all of their stuff. Like, my kid's really into motorcycles, gets all of his stuff used, and there's massive arbitrage in that. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
like really expensive stuff that she gets for like 10, 20, 30% on the dollar on a regular basis,
Wow. Yeah.
So that's an avenue. And yeah, I mean, I think you could have something there, right? Like an additional revenue source, an additional revenue channel, and it could be kind of fun. And then also too, if somebody wants their beta fish on their bag, and charge a couple $100 extra for that, like, especially if it only took you about an hour's worth of your time. I mean,
Is there a fish on their bag?
yeah.
This one is a vintage Coach. I don't even know how much it's worth, but
Very cool. I mean, that's just super jazzy. Great sheen on it, and that'll last a long, long time too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This bag is gonna like survive the apocalypse, I think. So
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I
yeah,
I love it. I got to encourage you on that.
great.
Keep going.
That's really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
It felt like, it was kind of like when I started the beta fish, and then I heard Brandon talk about niche marketing, and I
Yeah.
was like, wait a minute, I think I just started doing that, and it felt the same way. I just like kind of started doing these because I was in between projects and feeling a little burnt out, and I heard Taylor talk about this like idea of having these must-have items, and I was like, I think I have that. I think
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, you've got it. You've got it for sure. I
yeah.
love it. So you guys follow Hava on Instagram. You can see her handle down below
There.
to stay encouraged, to stay motivated for just how much this woman's posting, how consistently she's posting, which is really honestly encouraging and inspiring. And it's like, if you're at 25,000 followers and you're not even done with your third year, and where's this going to go? Where's this going to go? Hundreds of thousands of followers is the answer, and that's really impressive. Hava, you're on the track.
Thank
You're
you.
you're on the coast. So thank you a ton for your time today, for doing this interview. I hope everyone found this valuable. You will see links to Hava's profile anywhere you see this posted. Hava, thanks again. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.
you.